So we're finally here. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 4's third opening. Came out of nowhere like a surprise present for me.
What the fuck? What is this?
Where there are the two openings that appeared during episodes where there was no opening before them, we were treated right away to great days. Just like the jump of Crazy Noisy Bizarre Town to Chase, where I had a higher expectation for this opening because it had to beat Chase, one of my favorite openings in JoJo. And holy fuck! Like, I wasn't actually expecting it to do that. Great Days is fucking fantastic. I love it. I think I like it more than Chase. Enough of this formality and opening. Let's get right into the video. The opening starts off with the cast forming into the shapes of the letters spelling out JoJo. This sequence references the B cover of chapter 321. Next, we start with the words breakdown, which is a representation of Josuke's theme. They explode and repair themselves, referencing the opposite powers of Josuke and Kira, where Kira's ability is only able to destroy, where Josuke's is only able to repair. This is also a metaphor for Kira destroying Josuke's life and him having to repair it. Each time it breaks, it reveals a different power that has ruined Josuke's life in some way. The first breakdown we get is of Kira's first bomb, Killer Queen, the regular standard Killer Queen bomb. It's striking its iconic pose with the arms crossed. From there we get a shot of Morio with the sun rising, with the words JoJo, DU, and an 04 in the ocean itself inside of star-shaped spotlights. Then we get our second breakdown, which reveals Sheer Heart Attack, a stand that nearly killed Koichi, Jotaro, and led the gang to the wrong body, allowing Kira to escape into the everyday world. It's also bloody due to the battle it had with Jotaro and Koichi. Before our next breakdown, we get a shot of Kira in Kosaku's body, getting closer to the camera. His hand is raised a little, as if he's ready to set off his new power. Also, the name Hidehiko Araki appears in front of him. Then, breakdown 3 happens, and we see Stray Cat behind the breakdown. Stray Cat is one of the powers that nearly kills Okuyasu, Josuke's best friend, in the final encounter with Kira. Then from there, we get more Kira raising his hand even higher, prepping the bomb, preparing for the perfect moment to strike with Bites the Dust. Then we get the fourth and final breakdown, since this is the fourth part of JoJo, which reveals Koisaki's face, but his facial features have been removed or replaced with something else, which is in reference to Kosaki getting his face replaced by Kira's, and Kira escaping into the public, causing Josuke a huge amount of stress and worrying because literally anyone on the street can be Kira. And finally, we get a full close-up shot of Kosaki's face as he brings his finger down, and behind him is the main cast of Diamond is Unbreakable. He has now activated his power Bites the Dust and has trapped them in his unending loop. I wouldn't be surprised if later on in the series, when we get to the actual Bites the Dust arc of the show, that they replace this version of Kira with Evolved Kira. Now, from this point on in the opening, we are now in a Bites the Dust aesthetic, which is why a lot of things will repeat and we'll get after images of different characters. That it's the Bites the Dust creating multiple timelines. It's characters reflecting the Bites the Dust effect. We then move to our next shot, which is Josuke in silhouette form, walking into frame, leaving after images behind him because of the Bites the Dust effect. But where he's walking from is a clock that symbolizes peace and time. The arrow is one of the hands on the clock because it is a metaphor, and Kira uses that arrow to take hold of peace and time. That's why everything's out of loop, that's why there's after images everywhere. It's Bite the Dust is in effect. Josuke then strikes one of his iconic poses, and to the right of him you can see the ghost alleyway, the mailbox, and some of the dog poo. Also, above him is a sign that says SC 1987, which is Stardust Crusaders 1987, which is the year that part of JoJo took place in. It's also in the shadows because its events are in the past. Then Josuke passes over to Okuyasu and his fucking gross-ass dad. Okuyasu then looks off and sees Yukiko losing her hat, which is the hat she used to hide her face in the Cinderella arc. But this is also a symbol of her no longer needing to hide herself from Koichi now that they're a couple.
Lucky fucking midget.
Speaking of Koichi, in his walking up to greet Yukiko, there's a sign above him that reads out DU 1999, which is Diamond is Unbreakable and the year it takes place in. Then, the next sign is GW 2001, which is Golden Wind, and that's the year it takes place in. We also see next to the Golden Wind sign is a telephone booth, which Koichi uses to call Jotaro in Part 5, making a direct link between Italy and Morio, which is what connects Koichi to Jotaro from part 5, and what connects part 5 to part 4. Next scene, we are in a loop of Rohan's port. We see him sitting at the table where he plays dice with Josuke, but if you also look at his shadow, you can see Cheap Trick attached to his back. He's also stuck in the Bites the Dust loop as we loop through his house a few times. Then we reach the second part of Rohan's loop, and we see, sitting up against the wall, is Rohan, hiding his back from the viewer. Rohan also has his thinking face on. This may reflect the fact that he's trying to figure out who Kira's identity is, also how to defeat Cheap Trick. You also have Mikataka walking sideways on Rohan's house. Space Legolas is there for the viewer to realize he's a bit different than the rest of the stand users in this group, because he's an alien and not a stand user. Then lastly, you have Cheap Trick's stand user hiding to Rohan's left with his back against the wall. In fact, both him and Rohan are hiding their back from the viewer because of how Cheap Trick's ability works. Don't show your back to anyone, or else you're dead. Fuck, where was Cheap Trick in my strongest stands in JoJo video? Shit, who the fuck? He'd be pretty high up there. Is this thing recording? Then we get an overhead shot of 2 different crop circles, one of them being the one where Mikataka was found, the other one being of Hirohiko Araki's company, Lucky Land. Then we get a shot of the radio tower stand Superfly, and as it pans over more, you can see its stand user standing on the wires. Now, why is Mikataki's crop circle so close by? It's because he plays an important part in the Superfly arc. Next, we move to a shot of Shinobu rising. She faces to the television, and on the screen is Kosaku holding Stray Cat. This image is bright and is what Shinobu wants out of her husband, someone who's exciting, someone who'd be on TV. Then the Bites the Dust effect takes into place, and to the left, the actual image from the TV of Kosaku is moved there. This is what Shinobu wanted. This is the husband she wanted in her life, and she's the furthest she's ever been away from him. Their distance is reflected in Kosaku's image being made darker than Shinobu's image, also being pushed to the farthest away on the screen. Their distance then depresses Shinobu. Also, Kosaku being stuck in the Bites the Dust effect is reflective of Kira's ability, because Kira, even when he has Bite the Dust, is still stuck in its time loop effect. He doesn't get any advanced knowledge of what happens in the time loop. He's stuck in it like everyone else. Then we're pulled forward to a shot of Hyota eating at the dinner table, but breakfast is served. The breakfast is similar to what the breakfast that Kira makes is, so we know that Kira is the one who prepared it. But Hyota is being ignored by both of his parents, which sets his life into a dark state and shrouds the entire screen with a more darker palette. Next, we get a shot of Hyota walking to school, and many images of Kosaku behind him in the background. This is reflection that is confirmed that Hyota is in Bites the Dust effect when Killer Queen's hands come down to adjust his hat, like Kira does in the Bites the Dust arc. But also, since they're Killer Queen's hands, these are the hands known for prepping bombs. He's obviously prepping Hyota with Bites the Dust's ability. With Kira's victory in hand, he has control over time and peace. Hyota's prepped for Bites the Dust. Everything is dark. But then we see a hand raise into the sky and start to shroud the world in light. This represents the fact that she refuses to pass on into the afterlife until she's able to cleanse the world of Kira's darkness. She is also a beacon of hope for all the cast. The light that spreads breaks the darkness on Yukiko and Rohan. This whole sequence of the light breaking people out of the darkness is in reference to Remy, bring them out of the dark on Kira's existence as a whole. After the group strikes some sick poses, we go back to Remy's hand, which is joined by the whole group, and everyone is pointing up. Then the shot shifts to a symbol of Morio on a blank yellow background, and then the main cast stands appear around the symbol as metaphors for the fact that they're going to become the protectors of this small town. Working clockwise from the top, along the outer edges, we have the symbols that represent Echoes Act 3, Heaven's Door, Star Platinum, The Hand, Hermit Purple, Crazy Diamond. Along the inner edge, we have Pearl Jam, Bad Company, Earth, Wind, and Fire as the dice, Harvest, Highway, Star's Footprint, Surface, The Lock, and a rose to represent Yukiko's love, Cinderella, and the Invisible Baby. Then after the symbols fade, the cast has been revealed to be pointing up to those who have fallen along their journey. Then the remaining enemy stand users show up and form the numbers 1999, the year that Diamond is Unbreakable takes place in. The first one being Kira's father, and inside his one is various things having to do with his stand, Atomic Heart Father. Now you also have the first 9, which is RPS Kid, and that was the hardest one for me to figure out, but you notice that his hand is doing scissors, which is what he's always going to throw first, and also everything around him swirls into the hole in the center of his mouth. Next, you have the next 9, which is the Enigma Boy, and it has sharp, flatten out paper-like edges. this is in reference to his ability, and if you look on the design, there's many things that he has stored away in paper, and at the very bottom of the 9 is what happens when he figures out your fear, your weakness, and he turns you to paper. It's the same effect. You also have a character of the Enigma Boy, Miyamoto. Then lastly, the most obvious of them all is Highway Star, with a little character right up front and center of Yuya. Also the symbol of the footprints being left behind, and then him breaking into pieces because that's how his stand works, also in reference to his injuries and him being in the hospital, given the symbol of hospital equipment above his shoulders. Then we get a shot of Kira in his darkness as the light shines down on him and he turns to look at us with his cold, icy turn. Also behind him is the word Killa, which is in reference to a cover, but also in reference to his name. The kanji for Kira is also the kanji used for killer. Kira is literally named Killer. Fucking hit the nail right on the head there, fucking Kira's dad. Knew what he was from the beginning. Hit that shit real quick. It's also theorized that him turning in this segment is in reference to when he turns to face the ghost alleyway, and also when he turns to see Josuke when he overhears his name. Then we reach the generic action shot, which has a ton of stands attacking and doing their best abilities, which is the same thing that we've gotten in the past 2 openings, which is kind of nice. It also references the hard-fought battles ahead, and this leads us to our final shot with the whole cast standing, hands raised in the same pose we've seen in all the openings, but this time with more people around. And also you notice that the time and peace clock has been fixed. Kira's has been removed. Their stands have been now affixed to the symbol. They have taken the control away from Kira. They have fixed the town. And that is a great shot to end on because it's a happy ending. So yes, that's all the possible openings for JoJo Part 4. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they did a special final arc like opening, and man, I'd be fucking surprised then. I have to go through and analyze another fucking opening. No, fuck, please don't. I'm honestly expecting some things to change as this goes on. I wouldn't be surprised if Evolve Kira makes a few appearances in this opening at some point, which if he does, then I fucking called it. But if you'd like to check out videos like this, well, you can always watch xFort's. His was a more simple breakdown. It wasn't super analytic, but if you want like something that's super analytic and super in-depth and something that helped me write this video, check out Mr. Donut the Donuts video on the same opening. So, with that, I'd like to thank you for coming and watching, and like, comment, subscribe. Also, fuck Koichi.